We have two people in the waiting room, Jeff Amato and Walter Omer.
Okay.
Them in. Kathleen, the meeting is yours.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. Hello, Walter. Hello, Jeff. I think we're also expecting John Shearer in a bit. So we have a reasonably short agenda tonight. Some topics that will take a little time, but most of them we should be able to knock out fairly easily. We also have a truncated board. We have 2 members traveling or at other events this evening. So it's the 3 of us. We are a bare quorum. And just as a reminder for board members, that means that for items to pass, all decisions must be unanimous. So if there is something that we have a concern about, if you would like input from the full board, we can motion to table any item that you might be concerned about in that regard. So first is a request to make additions or modifications to the agenda. Any requests? Okay. The first item we have is a public hearing on the franchise agreement with Cablevision of Wappinger Falls. Jeff has been dealing with this contract for quite some time and is better versed in the why and the structure than I am. So I'm going to turn the floor over to the village clerk to explain.
First, I need someone to make a motion to go open the public hearing.
I will make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Jeff.
Okay. Last year, this past June, this matter came before the board. There was a public hearing. We have a 10-year agreement with Cablevision of Wappinger Falls. It's a franchise agreement. The village gets 5% of the fees. This does not include taxes that Cablevision collects. This is a non-exclusivity agreement, so other cable companies are free to come in and offer competing services, and they would have come before us with a similar type agreement. This agreement is governed by the Public Service Commission of New York State, so it's very rigid, it's very limited in negotiating. All the terms are dictated by the state. Back in June, this came before the board. The board voted to approve this. It passed a resolution. The problem was at the time that the PCNR did not publish the public hearing notice. So we submitted everything. They've come back and said, without the affidavit of proof of publication in the official newspaper, we can't accept it. You need to renotice it, go through this process again. So that's why we're here now. The agreement is basically a renewal of the previous agreement. The one big change to it is that they have thrown in, or they've added a $3,500 technology grant for the village that was not in previous agreements. So that has been added at our request. They do this in other municipalities, and how much they give you is based on the number of customers they have within the municipality. Typically, we would only qualify for a $1,000 grant. Through discussions with their government liaison, we were able to get that up to $3,500 for the grant. So that's why where we are now. We need to go through the public hearing, pass the resolution, and then as we have a new board, Kathleen will sign the agreement and we'll resubmit it.
So one important thing to note is the technology grant offsets some of the technology needs that we have for updating in the village. Hello, Michael. So I would first ask if board members have questions that Jeff can answer.
I would just, for the public's understanding and in discussing sort of budget matters, there are a number of technology upgrades that we need to do this year, and this will help cover those costs. So I think, that's a benefit that the public should know about.
Thank you. Anything from you, Catherine?
No, I'm good with it. It is what it is.
Are there any questions from the public? Okay, hearing none. Oh no, that's you, Jeff. Yeah.
Yep. No, okay. That was great.
Okay. And Jeff, can you just address the question clearly about non-exclusivity? This does not prevent competitors in the village from operating?
Correct. Another cable provider, internet provider, telephone provider could come in, Verizon, if they wanted to come in and offer their file service, they're more than welcome to, they can do it. Other cable companies could come in and offer competing services, and they too would then go through the same process we're going through now. So it does not prevent anybody from coming in and competing with Cablevision.
And they could both be operating simultaneously, Jeff?
That's
Or does-
a
does-
wiring issue. So if somebody else came in, they would have to wire those. Those are Cablevision's lines. So either Cablevision would have to lease them to a competitor, or a competitor would have to come in and rewire for their service.
Okay,
Interesting.
any other, oh, we have one more member of the public. Let's just make sure that Hillary wasn't joining us for this portion. Hi, Hillary, I see you connecting to audio. If you have comments that you'd like to make on the cable franchise agreement, if you could indicate with your raised hand while you connect. Okay, so Jeff, I assume that I should read this into the record.
Well, first, if you want to keep the public hearing open or close the public hearing,
We could keep it open until the end in case anyone else
and
joins.
then we would come back and do the resolution then.
Sure, yeah, no problem. Let's do that. Good idea. Okay, so we'll set that off to the side.
Okay.
Okay, the next is a resolution regarding the firefighter records listing. So our volunteer fire company does earn retirement benefits for their service. Each year, the fire company submits a list of hours served. Those might be calls, those might be non-service calls. And you get a fairly good sense reading through the amount of hours recorded who are steady and constant responders are on calls. And so this gets put forward as a record of the amount of time they have accrued toward retirement. Are there any questions or additional information from Jeff? Questions from anyone on the board or additional information from Jeff?
It's a process that NFlex, who manages the retirement program or the pension program for the volunteer firefighters each year, sends us this list. We submit it to the fire company. They update the points, send it back to us. The board approves. Now it goes back to the fire company where they'll post it for 30 days and give their members an opportunity to review. And if they have any questions or challenges on the points that they earned over the course of the year, they could take it up then with the fire company board and members.
Okay, any discussion from board members? No? Okay, and we'll recognize Jeff Amato, who's with us this evening. He's one of the firefighters on this list. So resolution number 4-2022, approving 2021 firefighter records listing. The following resolution was offered by Mayor Foley for adoption and seconded by,
I second it.
whereas Article 11A of the New York State General Municipal Law requires a list of volunteers who earned a year of service credit during 2021 be approved by the fire department and submitted to the Board of Trustees for review and approval. And whereas once approved, the list must be returned to the fire department so that it can be posted for at least 30 days as required by Article 11A. Therefore, it is hereby resolved that the Village of Cold Spring Trustees has reviewed and approved the 2021 firefighter records listing. And this is a roll call vote.
Okay, Trustee Curto is absent. Trustee Fatty,
Yes, with gratitude.
Trustee Starbuck,
I,
Trustee Woods is absent, and Mayor Foley.
Aye, and again with gratitude.
Okay, officially adopted on this date by a vote of 3-0 with 2 absences.
Okay. The next item is also housekeeping. We had a presentation from the Historic District Review Board about really correcting maps that had been drawn by hand at the origin of the district, and then in an update in 1982. And as our map making has become more precise and we use GIS, the boundaries of the district were not accurately reflected in the map. And so to modify, it is correcting boundaries, not adding or subtracting literally into the district, but modifying boundaries for accuracy. And so this resolution takes the recommendations of the Historic District Review Board, the feedback from the Planning Board, and acknowledges and identifies the changes that need to be made for that map to be accurate. And also we do not yet have the map finished with the last week, I think it was last week, we discussed identifying the National Historic District on the map. We are working with Putnam County GIS on that. So this resolution is conditional upon the final map being developed. It's going to take a little time. So these properties, while they were under public hearing related to the modification, building permits could not be issued on these properties. So we want to release them from the hold so that work can continue on these properties as needed without making those folks wait for the map to be finished. Would someone else like to read this into the record?
I can do it once I find it.
Sure, just to have someone else's voice besides mine.
Sure. I make a motion to adopt resolution 05-2022, adopting historic district map. Can I get a second?
Second.
Resolution 05-2022, adopting historic district map. The following resolution was offered by myself for adoption and seconded by Mayor Foley, to wit, whereas in 1976, the mayor and the Board of Trustees created the local Cold Spring Architectural and Historic District, the boundaries of which remain unchanged, and whereas a hand-drawn map was prepared and adopted by the Board of Trustees and registered in Albany as the official map of the district, and whereas in 1982, a portion of the local district was nominated to the National Register. Similarly, the boundaries for the national portion of the district have remained unchanged. And whereas in 1999, a more detailed interpretation of the 1976 map was created using a lot line overlays based on the village zoning map. The 1999 version did not precisely follow lot lines, resulting in a map identifying some parcels being partially located in and out of the district. And whereas in 2021, the Historic District Review Board, working with Putnam County Department of Information Technology, began reformatting the map to revise the 1999 version and reflect correct lot lines within the village. Therefore, it is hereby resolved that the Village of Cold Spring Board of Trustees adopts the map of the historic district with the following parcel specific adjustments. 14 Cedar Street, remove entirely from the district. 10 Locust Ridge, include entirely within the district. 41-51 Chestnut Street, include entirely within the district. 27 Marion Avenue, remove entirely from the district. 13 Benedict Avenue, remove entirely from the district. 3 Benedict Avenue, remove entirely from the district. 7 Benedict Avenue, remove entirely from the district. 50 Kemble Avenue, remove entirely from the district. West Point Foundry Park Reserve, include entirely within the district. It is hereby further resolved that adoption is conditional on the inclusion of boundaries indicating the national and local districts. It's a roll call vote.
Okay, Trustee Curdo is absent. Trustee Fatty?
Aye.
Trustee Starbuck,
Aye.
trustee Woods is absent, and Mayor Foley.
Aye, and I want to also make note that there was a public hearing on this topic conducted by the Historic District Review Board. So this has been before these property owners and the public.
So it's a resolution's officially adopted on this date by a vote of 3-0 with 2 absence.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to consideration of applications for ticketed use of Mayor's Park. Do we have John Shearer? That's you, John, right? So we'll take yours first if you're in the audience. This is the Hops on the Hudson event.
I'm here. Can you hear
Hi.
me?
Yeah, we sure
Okay,
can.
hi. Okay, sounds good.
And we also have the Rec Commission Chair, Jeff Amato, here, if we or you have additional questions for him. So tell us about your proposal. John.
Okay, I'm here. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Yeah, I'm just trying to park my car in Manhattan. And
Do you want us to come back to you? Do you want us
Yeah,
to?
how about
get
you?
on
How about
first?
you do that? Yeah,
Okay.
could you give me like 10 minutes?
Yeah,
Or
absolutely.
5 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good.
Um,
Okay, I'll be here.
Jeff Amato, are we expecting Lauren? We can skip this agenda item and come back to it if we're expecting her.
I let her know about the meeting. I didn't hear back whether she was going to be able to attend or not, but
Okay.
she did want to proceed with the vote for the event.
Okay, do you want to walk us through it?
Sure. You know, I wasn't anticipating for her actually to do that as well. But yeah, essentially this is an event that they've had in the past. And it's the Putnam County Wine and Food Festival. It's, I guess they've had it several years now. So the proposed dates for this would be August 6th and 7th. The application indicated they, excuse me, I'm just bringing it up here. So
Oh, thanks, Jeff.
Yeah, so that's the, this is the site plan. Jeff, do you have the application itself?
Oh, we do have it in front of us.
You do.
We can get down
Okay.
to sharing. Here we go.
Get to the application.
So they're indicating a maximum number of tickets to be sold at 800. The estimated attendance for each day was 500 per day. The event was to start at 11 a.m. and end at 6 p.m. on Saturday, 5 p.m. on Sunday. They would make use of both Mayor's Park and the pavilion. They indicated amplified sound, several tents, food will be sold, music, as well as, I guess, walk around tastings, vendors selling art and crafts, food, live music, beer tent, cooking and mixology demonstrations, as well as children activities. They're going to advertise via social media, press releases, radio, billboards, ads in newspapers, magazines, e-blasts, posters, and banners.
And can we have a look at the site plan again? So Jeff Amato, you had one of the goals that the Rec Commission is working toward is restoring and improving playing fields on the site. And so you asked for restricted areas in Mayor's Park this year. I see one of them is indicated on the map, on the plan. Can you talk to us about the additional area that should be marked? This is a map generated by the applicant. This is not a map generated by the commission.
That's correct. And I believe, as I mentioned, I believe this is based on a previous year, their layout. So the applicant is aware of the additional restricted area. That area would be just above or just north of the what's marked as the children's play area, the basketball courts at Mayor's Park. This area will be the revamped softball field, and that work is planned to take place this spring. So just similar to the baseball infield, the softball infield will also be a restricted area. There'll be clay down and bases and mounds and potentially other things. So the applicant is aware of that. She just has to update her their site plan, which still has to be approved and throughout the process.
So the application in front of us is contingent upon a final site plan. It looks like we have some orientation issues here with the roadway and the rail lines. On the right of the screen, is that intended to be the pavilion?
No, I believe the on the left is the pavilion. They're indicating the beer tent and the music tent.
Oh, I see.
In the pavilion area, and yeah, as well as the dumpster in that area as well. So I think it's they had indicated where the gate entrance is going to be, and yeah. So there's obviously this needs a little bit of work, but it's a start, and we don't see an issue with it as long as they recognize the restricted area, the additional restricted area.
So that additional restricted area for everyone else's benefit, I understand it to be near where the EMT station is. Yeah. Am I correct?
No, so it's, yes, well, it'll be between the EMT station. It's really just north of the basketball courts, just above the basketball courts on this in this orientation. So where some of the smaller tents that they're indicating, that will have to be relocated, some of those tents.
Got it. Questions from board members about this event or concerns?
I guess my only question is if we need a updated site plan to reflect those restricted areas, do we, are we able to put off, like we're not approving it this evening, we're just looking at it as so far so good kind of thing?
We have two options. We can, if we have no other issues, we can approve contingent upon the submission of a site plan that meets the requirements of the Rec Commission, or we can table it if you would like to see that first.
Jeff, they did this last year. Can you speak to how it went? Were you happy with the condition of the field afterwards? I mean, monetarily, that's their business, but on our end, how did you feel the property was not abused, for example?
We felt that it went well. There were some coordination issues, I'll say. It was a lot of work on the Rec Commission, particularly Ruth Ann Barr. Put a lot of time and effort into coordinating, but in terms of the field, we felt that the field was not damaged. It was left in the condition that it was before, and I would say that hopefully the event coordinator will be hired by then and can take some of the responsibilities off of the Recreation Commission and handle that the coordination that goes along with these larger ticketed events. There's a lot of set up and breakdown and walkthroughs beforehand that are required based on our new applications. They have to have approvals, the site plans still. Again, that's in our requirements as well. So I think the event went well. It was managed well. But yeah, definitely an event coordinator will help for this year.
Thank you, Jeff.
And in terms of bathrooms, we've got 3 porta potties scheduled, and then the 2 bathrooms at the pavilion. Will those be open as well?
They are not. They're not open for ticketed events, and so that's indicated in our applications. I don't know necessarily that the number of porta potties is represented by the dots. There may end up being more porta potties. Again, that's something that we can coordinate with them beforehand, but I think that's more just the location of the porta potties. And I believe this year they're anticipating a few more people. More people are comfortable, and hopefully by then COVID will be nearing its end, and so they're hoping for more people this year than there were last year.
Another difference from last year is that Lauren made an agreement with Haldane to use the parking lot between the cafeteria and the football field, and then provided transportation down for cars. Did she mention whether she was working on that?
She did not. We did not discuss parking or transportation at all. It was not, and and you know, that's actually something that eventually we may want to add to these applications, especially for ticketed events, to give them a location. John Shear was nice enough to include that information
Right.
with their hops application, and so that's something that we will definitely coordinate with the applicant for this event going forward. That's definitely something that we're concerned with.
I believe she had, I may be wrong, but I believe she had the trolley, or she had some multiple passenger vehicle that was moving people back and forth. That's one of the, I mean, what I hope is that these events, that organizers of these events are heavily encouraging arrival by rail, because it is walkable from Metro North. And of course, Metro North does have a parking lot available on the weekends. I would like to get a sense from Officer in Charge Burke about how that worked last year with traffic. I know when Mr. Shearer did the events at St. Mary's in the fall, no, it was the summer, wasn't it? The arts events, that ancillary parking was coordinated with Haldane. So I'd be interested to know from Lauren. I mean, maybe it's simply because the question wasn't asked on the application, but that would be something that I'd like to hear about from her. Do others have thoughts?
I think parking is definitely, it's a major portion of any event. And so we have to know where people are parking. I mean, we could, again, I think, approve based on that or vote based on that, can we, or do we have to wait for?
It would be my inclination to table until that information is provided. The reason is that Fair Street is so heavily, it is so heavily trafficked with people moving from trains to trails in the summertime, that we want to do everything we can, I think, to discourage event traffic on Fair Street. An alternate lot and signage for an alternate lot is helpful. And Jeff, that this is what happens when we try a new application. I think we accomplished a lot, but now having a submission in front of us, I think it's clear that we ought to add in that element of the application.
Agreed.
But that is
Yes.
not Ms. Drummond's fault. That is the way the application is formatted at this time, but I would like more information on it. Others?
Agreed.
Yeah, I would like to hear from Lauren what her plan is in that before we move to approve.
Okay, so I will make a motion to table the proposal from Lauren Drummond and Greenergy Productions LLC.
So moved,
Uh,
or seconded.
Great, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, I think, John, are you parked?
I am parked.
Okay, great. Talk to us about your application. Let's get it up on the screen.
Nice, there you go.
Jeff Vidakovich
All right.
will move
All
it,
right.
show us your
Yep.
text, and then we've got a site
Okay.
plan from you as well.
Yep, sounds good.
Okay, go ahead.
So we're calling ourselves Brews with Views. It's a New York craft beer and cider event. We do a combination of, we focus on all New York craft brewers coming in, as well as ciders. We'll have some artisans. We'll have several food trucks. We have got some local musicians that we would have. It's a 4-hour or 5-hour event where people are coming on. They're spending the day there. They're listening to music and they're playing games. We'll have like a whole cornhole mania area set up. We've got also the fellas from Fishkill who have the change game. We'll be doing some competitions. And the map, I think, that we have sort of lays it out. We've decided to go with some big tents. Mainly it's in the middle of summertime. It gives a lot of people shade and a little extra protection. So
And the date you're looking at is the 16th of July. Yeah.
correct. Yeah, July 16th. We use Party Time Rentals out of Poquake. They're a great outfit. We've used them now for a couple years. They would set up the tents. They usually have to set it up the day before, possibly Thursday, with 3 big tents. And then they would take the tents down on Monday.
And John, your site plan submission does include that second restricted area.
Correct. Yeah, we worked around that. I don't see that being such a, I think I would suggest if you do modifications, measurements on these restricted areas would be a great thing to include. So we just have we've got the basketball court, which is a good relationship to the restricted area. Well, how would that restricted area be? Would Bugsy be putting up like a snow fence around that area, or would it's going to be like a softball field? So we'll really know that it's somewhat off limits, or people walking on it. I wasn't really sure about what was going on there. I know the baseball field, we stay off of there. We usually put a fence around that so nobody's even walking on that. But what about the softball field? Is that what it's going to be?
So Jeff, you and Bugsy have done some site visits and conversations. What's the outcome?
Yeah, so
Amato, I mean.
yeah, so this area will be similar to the baseball infield. It'll be the infield of the softball diamond. So essentially, it's a 65-foot 65-foot bases. So figure it's going to be roughly, the dimension's going to be roughly 80 or 90 feet by 80 or 90 feet. It's going to be a square or diamond. So it will be fenced off, similar to the baseball infield as well.
Okay, cool.
And that is the hurricane fencing?
That's what was done in the past. I think that's what is recommended from the highway department. So I think we'll stick with that.
And it's bright and orange, so it's pretty clear that that's an off limits area.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, thank you for letting me hop in there, John. Carry on.
Yeah. The direction of people coming in, we were planning on having them coming in where the dugout is. They come in, they wrap around, and then they go into the bigger field. I think we are renting the pavilion area, but we're not sure what the plans were, other than we were thinking of having sort of more of like a little VIP area in there. It would be just a place where people could do some lounging and eat some special foods. So we have some really some pretty good food trucks that we're hoping to bring. We've talked with, and we're hoping that they would be coming. So we've got the restrooms. We'll have a whole bunch. We usually have like 10 or 15 restrooms. Again, they get installed like on Friday, and they're there until Monday. The ambulance, we have the ambulance corps come down. We have them there for the day. We pay for them. Same thing with security. We'll have security. We love pushing the train. We are totally, if we could have every single person come to the festival by train, we would love that, right? So why not? So we will focus on that. All of our literature information will say, hey, park at the train station, park in Garrison, park in Beacon, take the train down. And then we were planning on having a trolley to go back and forth from the train station for people who might be a little bit older and it might be a little bit too much of a walk. So we'll have a trolley going all day long. We were planning on doing the high school as well. I got to get an application from them. So we'll have the application for the high school. So we try to focus. We will have actually notes that there will be no parking on Fair Street for our events. How's that, huh? So let's stay away from parking on Fair Street, and we'll make sure that we have the parking at the train station and at the high school.
You've got food trucks
Yeah.
in that parking area, correct?
Not in the parking area, on the other side of the fence. That's like on the other side of the
Oh,
fence.
yep. I see.
Yeah, we
the
usually
line
put
now.
them. In the past, it's a great spot. It's really hard surface. You're not by a wet area. They can come in the double gate, pull along the fence, and then just line up there. And you can usually have like a comfortable 4 or 5 food trucks there.
Well, that alleviates the concern I had, because I was wondering how you were going to separate folks waiting in line from oncoming traffic. But the answer is that's so you're
Yes, yeah. And we want them to come in at the dugout. I think it needs to be. I don't know if there's a chance of putting some soil over there, or just it's a little bit of a ditch, so we could maybe twist an ankle a little bit. I just maybe maybe Bugsy could take a look one day or something. It's nothing urgent, but walking into where the dugout is there, it's a little bit of a dip.
Yeah, that area will be repaired prior to the high school baseball season. Unfortunately, it washes out there as well as some other areas, but that area will be repaired prior to the baseball season, so it should be fine.
Gotcha. Oh, cool. Yeah, because you know what, nice the way we have our layout, sort of having the people coming in and all the way around. You could have a lot of people in there, so they're not on the street. We don't want to really have anybody standing out on the street or on the sidewalk or behind street cars. So that's the plan there. I'm not sure how much those spots create for revenue. The mobile parking spots there outside of the gates.
They're new meters, so we're going to learn.
Yeah. How much are they, like, per spot? Do you know, like, if somebody was to put their car and park it there for 9 in the morning until 5 in the afternoon, do you know how much that would cost somebody?
Well, Eliza and Catherine are the parking trustees, so I'll let you answer the question.
Not a clue.
Oh, cool.
They're
Not a
it's
clue.
$1.50 an hour. Yeah.
It's $1.50 an hour.
Is that
Yeah,
right, Jeff Vidakovich?
That is correct.
Okay. Because, sometimes that's a great spot for like some of our workers, and I didn't know whether or not we could be like paying the fee or something for some of those spots, have them coned off so we could have some workers parking their vehicles there, or some of the vendors. I know we're renting the garage area, the highway department, for having our vendors park up there.
Yeah, that's the area intended for that, so that
Yeah.
the parking is available along Fair Street.
Have we defined and know how many actual spots that are up there? Because I know we've used it, I've used it once or twice. It's not bad, but have we been able to sort of define if it's 40 cars, 30 cars, 60 cars up in that spot?
You're talking about at the village garage?
Yeah.
So I did ask Bugsy, and he indicated that currently, and this could change based on needs, but
Yeah.
currently he thought that 10 box trucks and approximately 25 vehicles, personal vehicles, would be able to fit there comfortably without blocking any of the areas that they need to access. But
Yeah.
if you find that you'll need more, we can discuss that with him and see what they can accommodate.
Okay. Yeah, I thought we could get a lot more up there and stuff, but I know, you got the gas pumps, so you got to watch out about that in the garage and some of the vehicles. So I've been more than willing to help and assist in that, to define that a little bit better. So somebody organizing an event knows exactly that I can fit, 43 cars up there and stuff.
Yeah, a lot of it
So-
depends on he has to move some things around, but
Yeah.
but he can plan accordingly. If you would identify an approximate number, as we get closer,
Yeah.
then we should be able to accommodate. He thought he'd be able to accommodate more, but that was just a conservative estimate currently with the way the yard is laid out.
Gotcha. Sounds good.
Eliza and Catherine, are there questions from you related to this event?
No, mine got answered.
yeah, my questions have been all answered. Thank you.
Okay. John, what is your timeline for withholding?
Oh, I should be able to find out. And Halding's pretty simple, and in the summertime, right? They don't have anything going on up there, so that's the great thing about the summertime. You mean for getting like the letter from them or the approval on their
Be able
application?
to know that you have the parking lot secured.
Yeah,
for your use.
I should be. I would think we should be able to get that like by next week. I'll stop up there. I know one of the ladies in the office. I'll go get the application tomorrow, fill it out. And usually we use Dorelli Insurance for our insurance, so we need to make sure we always have insurance for that. We did it for, like you said, the Makers Market. We did it.
And I believe that you, in one of your communications, you said that like the Makers Market, you would be using Putnam React to help with pedestrian movement.
Yeah, definitely on Fair Street, or I know some of the security guys in the area and stuff that we used previously, or the officers as well. So we like having a nice presence right at the gate. We always like to have a police car there, or the officers right at the entrance and stuff. So I think
So you
that's a perfect
anticipate
spot.
needing how many Cold Spring police officers?
Oh, well, probably just like one or two, or if we can use the security guys, which are a little less expensive, we can discuss that. And I think the police officer hours, what is it, 37 or 38 an hour or something?
38, I believe, right, Jeff Vidakovich?
Correct.
So I know there was a couple of off-duty officers that are allowed to do security work, and they're a little bit less expensive. But we usually at least have a couple of people walking on the grounds the entire event. Okay.
Identified as security.
Yeah.
Okay. I know that React was was really
Yeah.
helpful last summer.
Yeah. Yeah, I already reached out to Warren. Warren Dietz is sort of in charge of that group. So I actually sent him an email like last week. So I haven't heard back from him.
And did all the
So-
trustees know who REACT is?
No, vaguely, but not.
Okay, so it's a group of, well, I mean, they're retired military, retired police officers who volunteer their time to help with crowd movement and management. They were when everyone went to get vaccinated at the rec center, they were the folks you saw with the parked cars directing traffic through. Okay,
Great group of guys, and we always, make sure we make a payment to them for their time spent there. So we usually try to make a contribution to them. So they're great guys.
yeah, and our experience with them on Community Day is that they are exceedingly friendly with the public and nice to have around.
Yes.
So we have a track record working with you, John. And I'm glad to hear that you're strongly emphasizing arrival by train. I don't have hesitation in principle. I would just like to know that the Haldane parking is lined up. So I don't know how others are feeling. I'm willing to provisionally say, okay.
I'm okay with that too.
I am as well.
So contingent upon approval of the parking from Haldane. And if that doesn't come through, we'll need to revisit options.
Yeah, totally agree.
Okay. So Jeff Vidakovich, Jeff Amato, going through the review process forward, you have a checklist. You'll be working with the police department and the highway department and the fire department and the ambulance corps to make sure that all of our ducks are in a row and we're all ready for this event. As we get closer, you and John will be working on specifics of site plan and that ancillary parking at highway. And anything else that we need to know from your perspective from Rec Commission?
No, not at this time. We hope to have an event coordinator that will be able to work closely with the applicant before this event, and I'll definitely keep you posted. And in the meantime, we can coordinate. The Rec Commission can coordinate directly with the applicant.
Okay. Would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve this application on contingents that the approval of parking with Haldane goes through and is verified.
Second,
I would just clarify that we would like the applicant to provide documentation of that parking arrangement.
Yes,
Is that are you comfortable with that modification?
yes.
Okay, so we have a motion, we have a second, we have a modification that is approved by the mover. All in favor?
aye.
Aye. Thanks so much, John, for the very detailed submission.
Well, thank you. Yep, we try to really put on a really high-end event and stuff, and we want Cold Springers to be proud of us.
Well, I was saying to Jeff Amato today that I'm interested in this as a demonstration project to see how much you can achieve in terms of encouraging mass transit to get people
Yeah,
to an event.
yeah.
And I don't know what your metrics are for keeping track of how people came, but it would be great to have some sense of how people got there.
Yeah, well, you know what we can do and stuff. We'll probably do something with a ticket. Show us your ticket, and we'll give you a little something else. Okay, so that'd be a great way for us to do it. We just so you know, when we did the Boscobel events, we did a beer festival at Boscobel in September. We had about 1,000 people attend, and 271 took the trolley. So they came by train and stuff.
And that was
So
coming, the trolley came from the train station?
Cold Spring train. Yeah, we had a trolley coming from the Cold Spring train station to Boscobel, and we had almost a third of the attendees came by train.
Okay, that's useful
Okay,
to
so,
know.
you know, yeah, very useful. So, and that was a number that we got from the bus guys who were keeping track, you know, of how many people coming on and off. So,
Okay, great.
but
Thank you.
yeah,
Oh,
cool.
well, we do have Lauren. Hi.
All right, I'm gonna take off and go and have a burger with my son for his
Excellent.
birthday.
Have a good night.
Tell
All right,
him I
thanks a lot.
said
Thank
happy
you.
birthday. This must be JG Mellons.
Yeah, I'm 2 blocks away. I gotta run. All right, thank you. See you guys.
Bye.
All right, bye.
Lauren, you're muted.
Okay, go
Lauren.
ahead. Hi.
We got a new cast of characters for you to
I-
meet. Well, actually, you
noticed.
and Catherine have probably overlapped in the past.
Yes,
Yeah.
we have.
Eliza Starbuck.
Hi.
You know,
And-
all of us.
Okay, good. And I met you last year as a trustee, so good to see you again. We were looking at images on the screen, so I didn't see when you joined. Were you?
I
able-
just joined like 10 minutes ago because
Okay.
I'm not feeling well. I just got
Oh,
off.
I'm sorry to hear
I
that.
got off COVID, so I'm not really up to par.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you're feeling better.
Thanks.
Well, can you walk us through your application? Jeff Amato gave us a summary of your event, and it was our conclusion before you joined us that we would table until we had some more information from you about well, an updated site plan
Yes.
that reflects the
that-
second restricted area. But also we
Yeah.
wanted to ask you about parking, because in the past you've used the Haldane lot with transportation from the Haldane lot.
Yes. We also for parking for the audience, Haldane High School. And then we get the trolley from there, and also people can also park at the train station with the trolley coming in. So that's what, and I just spoke to Metro North today, Kamala, and they have a new system now that they are coordinating with the MTA and Metro North, so they're going to be promoting it through that, so people will be able to take the MTA to the Metro North to the festival, and we'll be selling tickets through them as well. With
Through the
discount.
MTA?
Yeah, MTA and Metro North. They're going to be a package deal.
That's great. Nice coordination.
Nice.
Well, nice, and let's keep very careful track of numbers so we have a sense of what that looks like in terms of folks coming in. Whatever we can do to get people on mass transit is a good thing, and not in cars.
Yeah, well, the cars, when they come in, they'll park at the high school, and then and I have the trolley picking them up.
So do you have approval from the high school yet?
Not for this year yet, because I was waiting on you, but I had it last year, and I
Right,
had
I
to give
remember
them an insurance.
So now that we have Lauren, do trustees have questions for her directly that Jeff couldn't answer?
Can we look at the site plan again, just to review
What you
it?
said, Liza?
Yeah. So in terms of bathrooms, I see 3 spots for porta potties, but
No, we usually have like 6 porta potties, 1 for the handicap and 5 regular potties.
okay. And then also we were discussing earlier that there's a portion of the field that's been blocked off where you have tents currently marked on your map. So
Right.
you're aware of that, and you'll.
Yes, I am. This was just from last year. So basically, I was just updating last year's without that restricted area, but we won't have anyone over there anyway.
Okay.
And I don't know if you heard this part of the conversation with John, but Jeff Amato confirmed that the highway department will be cordoning off in some way that area so that folks know it's a restricted area. Thank you for
Okay.
helping us to protect the field.
Okay,
Playing
like they
field.
did, they put the fence around that other part like they did
Right.
before. Okay,
So the food vending is happening in the small tents?
yes,
Food
they're gonna
tasting?
be, yes. maybe I'll have 2 food trucks and then tent, small tent.
And where would you anticipate the trucks being?
They're gonna be over there where the pavilion is at the side where I have it. I had that 2 years ago. I had, not 2 years.
Oh, where it says food vendors?
Yes,
Jeff Amato, are you still on with us?
Yes, I am.
Talk to
Yeah,
me about that part of the park and
Yeah.
trucks.
Yeah, so so that area beyond the pavilion is the wettest area of the field, and currently the new site plan with the application does not allow any vehicles beyond the pavilion itself. So if there were food trucks, they could be aligned in the earlier part of the pavilion area, closer to
to
Fair
the
Street,
gate.
to the gate, yes, or all along the gate as well. This is where the Hops intends to have it, kind of adjacent to where your register ticket pickup would be, in between the truck ambulance gate as well. In that area would be another area.
Okay, the reason why I moved it, because last year I had the food vendor in the field, and then I had the beer tent and just the music tent where the pavilion areas. But no one, most of the time I make, for our production, we make our funds from the beer tent, not from the tickets. So, but no one saw the beer tent last year because the food vendors were in the field. So that's why I want to move it back to the pavilion. So yeah, so I mean, we can have the trucks, probably 2 trucks, food trucks we had last year. We could move them towards the opening where the gate is at the pavilion, and then we could have the tent at that spot, right? Where I have the food vendors.
Along the fence, you mean?
Yeah.
Yes, closer to the road. Yeah, closer to Fair Street. Yes, that
Okay.
shouldn't be.
Okay. All right.
We want those larger vehicles to be where they will do least, where they will have least impact on fields.
Okay. Okay. Well, that can be updated as we
So
get further along.
I don't know, Jeff Vidakovich, can we have a look at John Shear's site plan for a second? I want to show Lauren how he's managing traffic, because it so you'll see now we're turned, imagine Fair Street's obviously all on the right there on the screen. Oh, look at that.
Oh,
Fair Street's on the bottom.
okay, Metro North Fair Street. Okay.
Yeah, so he's utilizing a gate and sending people through the pavilion area and then entering the actual food area midway, as sort of a way to control the line, so people aren't waiting on Fair Street. That seems like a smart alternative to me. See how he has the food trucks along the fence? Are you open to some configuration that's more like that?
Then my beer tent won't be.
But I thought you wanted your beer tent closer to the food trucks.
Yeah, but you see where the beer tent where the beer truck is close to where the electricity is, and that's where the pavilion is. The music and the beer tent is like beside each other. That's where you have the electricity there.
Yeah, so so I think Lauren, what we were talking about was having a couple of food trucks closer behind the dugouts, essentially between the gate and the dugout over in the pavilion side.
Right.
Yeah, and I was saying that shouldn't be a problem.
Right.
Locating them there.
Right. And that's what I'll do, because I want to make, because with the price of everything, production cost is gonna go way up. So I really need to concentrate on making some funds from the beer this year. Understood. If you don't mind. So yeah.
Jeff Amato, you're suggesting that the food trucks be on the I can't keep trying to move my mouse. Yeah, where the,
Yes.
where the
Yes.
map, where it says GAT rather than gate. Up in
Yeah,
that area.
Yep, yeah, outside of the fence. So it'll have, it's a dry area, limited impact on the fields themselves. I think that, that is a good alternative.
okay.
Talk to me
Excuse me,
about,
Jeff,
talk to me
Jeff,
about,
excuse me, I'm sorry,
ahead.
Jeff. Is it possible that we could meet one day so we could basically go over these things with the site map? So this way I'll have a better grasp.
Sure,
Is that okay?
sure. The intention, Lauren, is that we're gonna hire an event coordinator that's going to be able to walk you through these steps. I know
Mhm.
there's a lot of coordination beforehand. We have to do a site walk beforehand.
Mhm,
There's a lot of setup and breakdown.
mhm.
We have not hired anybody yet, but that's the intention, is to hire. It's just a lot of time and effort that goes into these large ticketed events. But I definitely can meet with you and discuss the proposed site plan if you'd like, and
Yes,
we can go through it. Yes, so feel free to contact me. You have my contact information.
okay, great.
So my inclination, given the amount of things that need to be modified on the site plan, I'm not, I'm comfortable with the proposal in principle, but I think
Mhm.
those details need to be worked out before I would be willing to give an approval.
Yeah, I would agree. I think just an updated site plan after you've done a walkthrough with Jeff would probably do it. That would-
And confirmation from Haldane that you have secured the parking.
Yeah,
Okay,
So written confirmation from Haldane that you've secured the parking.
okay.
When you're on the site, if you would please be thinking about, I am concerned about the trucks being on the outside of the fence, and people waiting in line along that narrow road.
It wasn't a problem last year because they were at the side. There were like 10, 20 people because not that many people were coming in at once. There were, so,
Right, but remember you had reduced numbers last year.
yeah. Well, I
And
usually
you
have,
also staggered times, I think.
no, I didn't have staggered time.
Well,
Not?
I'm sorry.
No, I did not.
No, I'm sorry. What do you mean by trucks on the outside of the gates?
That's what I understood Lauren to be saying. Did I misunderstand?
No,
Yeah,
I didn't have trucks outside the gate.
Yeah, no. So these trucks would be, when I meant outside the fence, I'm sorry, outside the baseball field fence, but
Okay.
on the
Okay.
pavilion side.
Okay,
So it would be where you mentioned, where your cursor was, between the dugout on the west. Yes, correct. So it would be inside the fence for the field, for Mayor's Park fence, but it'd be plan west of the baseball diamond, the baseball fence. So yeah, so exactly
Okay.
where you have the cursor. Yeah.
thank you
Everything
for
would be
clarifying.
inside. Yes.
Okay, so I would make a motion to table this until we have an updated site plan and confirmation from Haldane that parking has been secured.
Okay,
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
I,
Aye. So you're a step closer, Lauren, but we need to get the details worked out.
okay.
thank you.
Awesome. Thanks.
Hope you feel
Thanks.
better.
Yes, do feel
Thank you.
better.
Have a great one.
You too.
Okay, bye-bye now.
Bye.
Jeff, are you still on? Did
Jeff,
you
the
leave?
moderator.
Yeah, sorry, I realized we have to use last names. If we're gonna look at maybe amending the application to include, parking stipulations, do you think a baseline site map of our own, so that we don't have everybody's drawings, could work? I mean, John's, maybe we could just ask John if we can use his.
John is working
Without-
on the baseline now.
He is. Oh,
Yeah.
so where did Lauren get hers?
She had it left over from the year before.
But do we give it to them when they make the application?
Yes,
Yes.
it's on the last page of the application. So she, yeah, so.
Oh, that went with it. Okay, I'm sorry. I remember the map. I just didn't know we were handing it out with the application. Cool.
Yeah, we didn't clarify that it necessarily needed to, the site plan had to be on our map, per se. I mean, if they want to do something digitally, they can. But it should just include the areas that we indicated as restricted or vehicle access only. They should keep that in mind when preparing their site plan.
Thank you very much, Jeff.
Sure, no problem.
Awesome. Thanks for spending another evening with the trustees, Jeff. I know we're not the best party in town.
No, it's fine.
Hey, we've got beer and food and wine.
Yeah, right.
Potentially the best party.
We just have to crack it.
That's it. That's it.
Okay. Item 7 relates to 45 Fair Street, which is the Riverview property. We've had to do a little bit of a deep dive into archives. We being the clerk, did a bit of a deep dive into archives. The lot that Riverview is on there have been lot line modifications through purchases 4 times total. They have been in an L shape on the north and on the Mayor's Park side and the river side of the property. Mr. Eli has come forward. This was tabled by the previous board, this additional sale. He is requesting sale of a small sliver of property, his building, a portion of his building, that the cement patio area that is enclosed by brick. Jeff, can you go to the plan for a second and we'll come back to the letter, please? We have a portion of the relevant portion of the survey here. So in red is the area being proposed for purchase. You'll see that the front of the building, that patio area is constructed on village property. That bold line is the property line. And we were puzzling. How was it that this came to be constructed on village property? This is recent construction, not so long ago. And Mr. Eli said, no, I have approvals. I know I have approvals. So we dug down in and did find minutes and a site plan which identifies approval by the planning board on December 4th, 2003. We have the minutes from that session, and we can certainly make these available to the trustees. It's not clear to any of us how this was approved on village property, but it was. So here we are. So our question tonight is not, are we willing to sell this property? Our question tonight is, are the trustees willing to consider the sale of this piece of property on which a portion of Mr. Eli's building was constructed with the knowledge of the village? Whether permission was there is a different story, but certainly it is documented in knowledge that the village knew he was constructing that portion.
I feel like there's a number of these sort of precedents all over the village, and Main Street certainly has several examples of the same. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me for the village to hold on to properties that are being used and heavily used and are constructed upon by a business. I mean, are we now liable for someone who trips on his patio? Those kinds of questions. It's his construction. You know, we can get bothered by the past and the way things are done, but that's not really productive. I think going forward is what we're aiming to do. And I think that it makes sense for him to responsibly ask the village to purchase this property that his business has been operating on with village permission. Now he's going to pay for it and own it, and we won't have to have that liability on our books and or property management.
Well, it also returns this red section to the tax roll. It's a small amount, but it does return it to the tax roll. Catherine, your thoughts?
I like the tax rolls. I always like the tax rolls. No, I mean, to Liza's point, there are stoops, there are, blurry property lines. I mean, look at the HDRB map, I mean, things we didn't have the sophisticated tools to draw maps out in the past. And, I think that this tidies things up and gives Mr. Eli the property under his building, so.
Full credit where credit is due. The site plan is drawn by Beatty and Watson. Beatty and Watson accurately record the property line. I cannot explain to you why this was approved by the village. And it's, it would be another lifetime to try to figure out the pile of decisions. I don't know why, but this is the reality we're living with. I agree with Eliza and with you, Catherine, that there are lots of these little messy spots that we can clean up. So if the trustees present are willing to proceed, the next step would be to work with the village attorney and Mr. Eli's attorney to draw up a sales agreement. So would someone like to make a motion?
I would make a motion to move forward and have the village attorney work with Mr. Eli's attorney to do a contract for this sale.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Is there typically the rate has been $4 per square foot in the past? Is that the rate that the village would want to work with going forward, or?
I think that I would like to get some guidance on rates, going rates currently. I don't know, that $4 amount has been bounced around for some time, and that's one of the things I'd like to have guidance on.
How many square feet is it?
660.
665, is that what I saw?
Yeah, or 669, something in that neighborhood.
I mean, I think we should, as a board, consider the fact that if, basically, Mr. Eli has been using this property for all this time without paying rent. So we may consider a prorated price that considers a portion of that in the portion or in the amount. But I think Kathleen is correct that we should be checking with either local survey or real estate to find out what the going rate is at this point of village property, so that we're not using a outdated pricing model.
It may be not far off, but I just don't have any data to know that.
Yeah, we just need to look into that.
Yeah, and I bring it up because as we take it to our village attorneys, we need to let them know what the going rate is in order for them to draw up a contract.
Okay, so that's something we can work on. Jeff?
Okay,
We're good with that being a point on which we are contemplating?
well, yes, we can't take it to the attorneys until we have that rate, so.
So how about this then? We've agreed in concept to proceed. I commit to doing some real estate research and coming back to the trustees with that number in next week's meeting for final approval to proceed with the village attorney. Does that work?
That's fine.
Okay, thank you for clarifying. Jeff, the institutional memory. Okay, the next one is joyful. There has traditionally been, sponsored by the Nelsonville Fish and Fur Club, a stocked fishing derby, and our reservoir, the lower reservoir by the water treatment plant. It hasn't happened since before COVID, and they are eager to get out again. And I did speak with Matt Krug, the water and wastewater superintendent, who's excited to have a joyful event happening out there. They do the stocking. The village has traditionally, I was able to confirm today that the village has traditionally donated the porta-johns that need to be in place for the event. So I would propose that we do that again. Any questions or discussion from board members?
is it safe? Is the dam safe?
It can take the weight of children. Yeah, the kids normally aren't, as I recall, are not near the plant itself, but they're on the road side of the U of the reservoir, not on the road, but on that end of the reservoir.
How many kids usually attend, and how many porta-johns do we tend to provide?
I believe Michelle said 2. I don't know the numbers, but we can, and it probably varies year on year. Mike
Yeah.
Turton, do you have any sense of how many kids have attended in the past?
I haven't been there in a few years, but it was a large number of kids. I would say 50.
It's very popular.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay, so any other discussion? And I would make a motion to approve the request to use that property for the fishing derby and for the village to donate the porta-john.
Second.
Woo, everybody wants to second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. May I have a motion related to number 9, the approval of bills?
I'll make a motion to approve bills of, what's the badge? Sorry, maybe Catherine, you should make the motion.
You know, I don't have the badge number either because I have.
I'll make it.
Sorry, Kathleen.
That's okay. Batch number 6383 in the amount of $63,624.96.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, last we have minutes, and I just want to make sure, I forgot to look at this afternoon, to make sure that we were all, the 3 of us were at these meetings. Okay, so we can't vote on January 5th because Eliza was not present at that one. We'll have to table, I'd like to make a motion to table the January 5th minutes.
So moved. Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And the second is, I think, the 12th, right? February 9th. And let's see. We were all present, so we are all able to vote on these. I have a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Motion to accept the minutes of January 9th.
Eliza, second? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so what remains is public comment.
Nope. We have to go back and close the public hearing.
Oh,
and
close the
pass
public hearing.
resolution.
Thank you. That's why you are the clerk. We have lost all members of the public save for Mike Turton. Is that right?
That's it.
Okay, Mike, would you like to say anything about Cablevision?
Nope.
Okay, I would make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. So Jeff, just need to get rid of the record.
It should,
Okay,
sorry.
so I will move resolution number 3-2022, authorizing the Village of Cold Spring to renew a cable franchise agreement with Cablevision of Wappinger Falls, Inc. to operate a cable system in the Village of Cold Spring. May I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Whereas the Village of Cold Spring is a franchising authority in accordance with Title VI of the Communications Act of 1934, which couldn't anticipate any of these things, of course, and is authorized to grant one or more non-exclusive cable television franchises pursuant to Article 11 of the New York Public Service Law as amended, and Title 16, Chapter 8, Parts 890.60 through 899 of the official compilation of codes, rules, and regulations of the state of New York as amended, collectively referred to as cable laws. Whereas the village executed a franchise agreement with Cablevision of Wappingers on February 6th, 2009, which was thereafter confirmed and made effective by the New York State Public Service Commission on February 10th, 2010 for a term of 10 years. Case number 09-V-0292. And whereas said franchise agreement expired on February 10th, 2020, and whereas franchisee has submitted a proposed franchise renewal agreement to continue operating its system within the village. And whereas the village and franchisee have mutually agreed to the terms of said franchise renewal agreement. And whereas the village has determined that the franchisee is and has been in substantial compliance with all terms and provisions of its existing franchises and applicable law. And whereas the village has determined that franchisee has the requisite legal, technical, and financial capabilities to operate a cable system within the village, and that franchisee's proposals for renewal of the franchises meet the cable-related needs of the community. Whereas a duly noticed public hearing afforded an opportunity, now duly noticed public hearing, properly duly noticed, affording an opportunity for all those interested parties within the village to be heard on the proposed franchise renewal agreement. It was held before the village on February 23rd, 2022. Now therefore be it resolved that the village board determines that it is in the best interest of the public to award the franchise renewal agreement to the franchisee. And be it further resolved that the village board hereby authorizes the mayor to enter into the franchise renewal agreement with Cablevision of Wappingers Falls and to execute any other documents necessary to effectuate the granting of the franchise renewal on behalf of the village of Cold Spring. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Curto is absent. Trustee Fatty,
Aye.
trustee Starbuck,
Aye.
trustee Woods is absent, and Mayor Foley.
Aye.
Officially adopted on this date by a vote of 3-0 with 2 absentees. And please ignore the fact that I pre-populated those votes. I cut and pasted that from earlier.
Last year. Okay, so we'll make sure that before that gets your signature that it is accurate. Okay, now, Michael,
All
you
right.
have your hand raised. Welcome.
I know, I'm proud of myself for figuring out how to do that. So I actually have a kind of a two-part question and then a second question.
A lot, that is a lot.
I know.
You've been saving things.
The first question was prompted a bit by some of Jack Goldstein's comments last week after the presentation about Dockside. His concerns about the village regarding parking, possible overcrowding, and drawing more people to the village. So and this was discussed a little bit in the last administration, not a lot, but I guess my question is, apart from the revenue that the village government will gain, are you convinced that the large ticketed events are good for the village, as in village residents?
I will say that I have, as a resident myself, I do have concerns about the impacts. And I think that we have, as a board, spent a decent amount of time talking about striking a balance. One of the things that we did in modifying the application was increase fees to offset the maintenance of the field, so that we have funds available to maintain the park. That's an issue. And as I said tonight, I think that it's important for us to have a look. We haven't had large events, really large events, in some time. And I think it's important for us to see what impact encouraging public transportation has. There's no question that the village is crowded on the weekends. And it's it can be very frustrating for residents to have the village filled with guests. It is also an economic driver, not just for the village in terms of revenue, but for Main Street. And so I think we're making an attempt to strike a balance.
Okay, thank you. And then the second part is, I know the Film Society a few years ago did a pretty comprehensive survey of people who go to the movies at Dockside, and it yielded some really good data about who goes there, what they do after the movies. A lot of them, I was surprised the number who go to restaurants, etc. And I'm wondering if the Rec Commission has done or has considered surveying people at some of these big ticketed events to get more of a grasp on who's going and what some of the other benefits to the village are, or any other interesting data that pops out.
I don't know if they have discussed it. but I think they should. I think it's an excellent suggestion.
Okay, thank you. And then final question, switching horses here. I think the committee reviewing the police department was meeting tonight for the first time. I'm wondering, my understanding is that those meetings won't be public. And I guess I'm wondering, given that the survey results, the survey received an excellent response from village residents in terms of numbers. Those results were made public, I think, a year ago or so. So I'm just wondering, are the meetings actually closed, and if they are closed to the public, what's the thinking there?
They aren't necessarily closed. That committee is an ad hoc committee, not a standing board. So that board met for the first time this evening, and that should have been among the topics they were discussing themselves, how they want to conduct the minutes. I want very much for that committee to drive its own bus, for that ad hoc committee to drive its own bus and make decisions. There's what they have been charged by me with doing in the first run out of the gate is analyzing the data that we did get from the survey we did last year. And we've reviewed it. The last iteration of the board reviewed it, but no recommendations were made from it. And so I've asked them to start with the data that we have and make recommendations for the trustees for how we might implement some of the suggestions. Because there is a lot of good data. And if folks don't know, that survey, the results of that survey are still available on the village website under the trustee tab, under New York State, was the name of the executive order, Police Reform and Reinvention. We are not calling that committee the Committee for Police Reform and Reinvention. We're calling it the Ad Hoc Committee on Community Policing.
Yeah, thank you. I think more than half the surveys were actually returned.
Yeah, it was a huge return rate. It was a huge return rate. I was really pleased with it.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Yep. So I would say call Ed.
Yes.
Ask Ed what the outcome of that is.
Yeah, thank you.
Mhm. Anything else?
Nope.
Oh, I was expecting hardball, man.
No.
Okay. Anything else from the trustees or from Jeff?
Nope.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Favor?
Aye.
Aye. We're
Aye.
our three ladies. Right on. Have a good night.
Good night.
Bye, Kathleen.